Welcome to today's discussion on the landscape of data and privacy security. First off, our purpose today is not to bore you with the technical discussion of the anatomy of common cybersecurity threats or breach incident attacks. Those are important to know, it's just not the topic we're covering today. What we will cover is helping you learn what you need to know to protect your business's digital trust. We'll cover what digital trust is, also, how to meet customer expectations regarding data privacy that will help grow your business, and then we'll cover how to move your business in the right direction in advancement of increasing privacy and security governance. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sharissa Chapa. I'm a privacy and security consultant with Recharge Digital Consultants. I work with small to medium healthcare providers and their respective business associates. I assist with HIPAA compliance along with adherence to state privacy and security laws. What we really want you to take away today, there's one thing that you walk away from this discussion, this is it. Implementing data privacy, data protection, and data security, as we will define it here, is critical to your organization's success. At the core, data is an important part of business life. It's how most of us service our customers. Without it, there's not a business process that can be executed. And most of the time, our service cannot be provided to the consumer without it. Our business processes and consumer interactions generate data that is needed to facilitate business operations. The amount and the quality of data that we find within our systems is astronomical. In many ways, it has become a type of currency. The most common data that organizations collect is geared towards advertising and marketing. When television first became a fixture in our living rooms, businesses knew that they could capitalize on their advertisement dollars by sponsoring shows, and later ads within the primetime hours of family entertainment. They knew how many sets of eyeballs were watching each I Love Lucy episode, and how epic the series finale of MASH was. Their reach to consumers was large, and for some specialized televised events, such as the Super Bowl, it still is. Fast forward today, we are much more fragmented. Our consumption of entertainment is much more diverse. It is harder to determine where to focus advertisement dollars and much harder for consumers to reject messages directed towards them. Using the data that is collected through online activities has become big money. That is just one example of how important the data we collect is, not only to our business, but to cybersecurity bad actors. Consumers now demand rights to what businesses have about them and what they do with it. They expect digital trust.
Roughly 6 in 10 U.S. adults say they do not think it is possible to go through daily life without having data collected about them by companies or the government.
As you can see, according to McKinsey & Company's article, Why Digital Trust Truly Matters, digital trust centers on consumer areas of online interaction with your company, protect data, cybersecurity, trustworthy AI, and transparency. In short, when engaging consumers online, obtain consent on the data you collect and be transparent on how you use or share their most sensitive information. In context of an online world, most of us want to know when we are chatting with a bot, or interacting with an AI-based algorithm, or having our activities tracked, monitored, and assessed. When making purchasing decisions, consumers want trustworthiness and data protection to be nearly as important as price and delivery time. Without digital trust, consumers will consider purchasing from another business if the way an organization uses their consumer data is not clear. The sad reality is that only a small number of businesses can actually deliver on that trust. Personal identifiable information is any information that can be used to recognize an individual's identity. Depending upon the language used in the regulation, it can also be called protected health information, sensitive personal information, or personal identifying information. Personal data that is linked or linkable defines what data is the most vulnerable type. This is the information cybersecurity bad actors want. An individual's healthcare record PHI, is the most comprehensive set of data points. That is why it is the most sought after and is the focus of many threats and attempts. Non-PHI tends to focus on general online behavior and is often used to identify trends. When combined with other data points, it becomes a valuable resource. For example, knowing the device ID of website visitors, you know if your desktop optimized website would be better as a mobile site.
81% of U.S. Internet users believe that their personal information is vulnerable to hackers.
Most data privacy regulations utilize common terminology such as right of access, right of deletion, right against automated decision making, and private right of action. Regulation language will identify what data points are involved in the legislation. Privacy laws are made up of different sectorial rules. Two of the strongest and the most recognized legislations is the General Data Protection Act, GDPR, from European Law and European Economic Area, and California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. For businesses in the U.S., this is likely to become a huge problem. If being subjected to both the GDPR and CCPA, there is an issue because the definition of data privacy that these two pieces of legislation use and the way that they define fair use of data are very different. For example, GDPR identifies cookies, something that is generally thought of as non-PII, as possibly identifying an individual. Likewise, CCPA states that internet browsing history can be used to identify someone. Data privacy legislation will normally specify what data is the focus. It will often require the individual's consent to collect the data. It will provide a provision for opt-out, require disclosure of the intended use of the data. It may restrict to prevent the sale of this data to a third party. It may require a notice of privacy of what you will do with this data. And for healthcare providers and their associates, take note that your Notice of Practice Policies, NPP, is not the same as your online privacy policy, and it will also contain a measure of consumer rights. While you can have data protection without data privacy when there is no consent given, you cannot have data privacy without data protection. Data protection is a set of strategies and processes you can use to secure the privacy, availability, and the integrity of your data. They identify the when and the where of your business process. These protections encompass the administrative, physical, and technical safeguards an organization implements with its policies and procedures. Many businesses miss conducting a routine risk assessment and managing that risk. These risk assessments help identify where in your unique environment data is at most risk and where circumstances need to be addressed and monitored. For most, it is while conducting a risk assessment that many businesses discover a breach incident. Some laws require specific data protections. Many combine data protection with data security. Whatever the case, keep in mind that human error remains the number one cause of incidents. Data protection policies and procedures are what guide your employees in the proper use and care of protected data to safeguard against unauthorized breaches. These are the standards all employees, contractors, interns, and volunteers should be required to follow. A successful strategy can help prevent data loss, theft, or corruption and can help minimize damage caused in the event of a breach or disaster.
70% of consumers express at least a moderate degree of confidence that the companies they buy products and services from are protecting their data.
Data protection and data security are not interchangeable terms. Data security is the protection of data from unauthorized access, corruption, or theft. You might want to think of it this way. While data privacy may define the what and data protection answers the where and when, data security outlines the how. Implementing data security standards and frameworks, such as these shown here, within your organization provides a strategic best practice safeguard in data protection. This is important because, according to the FBI, it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when a breach incident occurs. Remember that consumers expect that their data is protected. Cybersecurity bad actors are growing more sophisticated. They are increasingly utilizing advanced attack techniques.
In the past year, at least 1 in 10 survey respondents stopped doing business with a company either because they disagreed with its ethical principles or because they learned of a data breach, even when they didn't know if their own data had been stolen.
The most successful type of cybersecurity attacks are those that are socially engineered. These rely on human error and are harder to identify. The most recognized type of social engineering techniques are emails supposedly coming from a trusted source. They seek to capture information regarding user credentials. Adopting data protections that provide awareness for different types of social engineering attacks and data security that helps to improve vigilance can help protect against most social engineering attacks. Many artificial intelligence systems can assist with managing security.
Phishing contributes to 37% of all cybercrime attacks targeted at businesses.
Improperly implemented AI can result in unfair discrimination, ethic issues, and threats to individual privacy and autonomy, and lack of transparency. Trustworthy AI systems need policies that clearly establish data privacy, understanding how data points impact outcomes, and is used in a way consumers understand. It needs transparency. To be successful, businesses need to keep and maintain digital trust. The loss of consumer confidence could be detrimental to customer retention and growth. Leaders in digital trust are likely to see a revenue and growth of at least 10% annually. In compliance with privacy laws, the key is understanding what data points are involved, what steps you must take, and enabling consumer choice. Data protections mean identifying which specific data points are protected, whether they are traditionally done so or not, and complying with each applicable regulation as it defines such terms. Understanding consumer protections and consumer rights will help you go a long way. Know what you are doing with the data you collect and where the data resides in your environment. Keep special watch on the identifiable data or data defined as such through legislation. Train your workforce on cybersecurity threats and monitor your systems thoroughly. The American Data Privacy and Protection Act, ADPPA, is making its way through legislation and may become law. If it is like its predecessors, it will likely be a challenge to implement with its varying regulations on data privacy. Thank you for joining us on this presentation of the landscape of data and privacy security. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us at this time, or you can contact me with the contact information provided. Thank you.